It's obviously all about how to better tell a story, and fashion, it's all about storytelling. It's about delivering the message. It's about the dream. And in order to nurture this dream and in order to speak about it, you should be present in different kind of environments that are now not only offline. You can not only communicate everything from like windows or books or magazines. So because we're spending more time online. And for example, I have 10 years old son, he plays Roblox. He discovers brands in Roblox and he comes back to me and he tells me about like fashion that he discovered. And that's exactly what's happening to more and more kids of his age, but he will grow up. And in 10 years, he will continue and start spending on physical goods. And that's exactly like what I think powerful fashion brands are so good at when they start to face different audiences, like very early on, even to the consumers that are not ready to invest now, but will be ready in 5 years from now.
GM, and welcome back to the NFT Now podcast. I'm Matt Medved, and today's guests are Natalia Modenova and Daria Shapovalova, the founders of DressX, a leading digital fashion retailer with an app and NFT marketplace. They've partnered with the likes of Bershka and H&M, and recently raised a $15 million Series A round led by Greenfield with participation from Slow Ventures, Warner Music, Red DAO, and more. I'm excited to dive into the topic of digital fashion, a category that we feel has transformative potential for mainstream adoption and bringing new audiences and brands into Web3. That's why we recently launched our digital fashion column, Now Runway. Every Friday, our key advisor, Aphrodite Zuri, reports to you from the front lines of the digital fashion revolution at nftnow.com/runway. Without any further ado, DressX. Daria, Natalia, we've got the DressX team on the NFT Now podcast. How are we doing today?
Good. Bonjour. Ça va?
Coming live from Paris, how's ECC?
It's a great event. I think in Paris, whatever you do, it's always going to be beautiful and fashionable. Summertime, it's also inspiring. So that's definitely a great kind of match. And bringing here all the best developers in the space, it's a very good idea. So bravo. Team of NCHCC for choosing the place, and it's really great how it is developing and different industries emerging here. So great, we are coming to the podcast from Paris.
Amazing. Well, speaking of different industries developing, super excited for this conversation as digital fashion is an area that we think has a ton of potential to drive mainstream adoption and bring a whole new segments into the space. So before we get into all the big picture questions, let's just talk a little bit about the backstory. Like, how did DressX come together? Daria, if you want to tackle that to start.
Yes, sure. Basically, our anniversary is coming soon. It's 1st of August. We'll turn 3 years. So the company is 3 years old. And we are coming from the fashion background. So myself, I was a journalist like you for many years, and not only a journalist, like in the media space. I have my TV show on fashion. And so I interviewed all the like designers and celebrities and lots of people from the industry. And I was traveling to all the fashion weeks. So Paris always felt like a second home because the fashion week here happens like every quarter. And then I started the fashion week in Ukraine. We're both from Ukraine, so it became the largest one in Eastern Europe. And we already started to work there together to collaborate with Natalia. She was chief operating officer of the fashion week. And then in 2014, started a showroom in Paris where we sold also that the first company that we started together with Natalia. We sold the clothes of contemporary designers to the largest stores worldwide. It was physical fashion. So we actually like knew a lot about the industry before coming into space. So I started my career in fashion when I was 17. So it's like a long time ago. And that's why we came with like a bit of a knowledge of how industry is built and who is creating it. And we knew some people in the traditional fashion industry, which gave us a little bit of a leverage in the connections. And then I personally 6 years ago relocated to San Francisco and did my MBA there because like the kind of the big idea was what can be done for the fashion industry to really move it into the future and to help it to scale into in the new domain, which is definitely technologies and tech. And that's exactly how 3 years ago DressX was born. We have a third founding team member. She's coming from the world of tech. And then we started to grow faster than just by having 3 people. And that's how DressX came about. And definitely there are so many aspects to the company, which we will discuss now, but it's a little bit about the story and why DressX is the company as it is right now.
Absolutely. What a journey. For those who don't know, like, what is DressX? Like, what's the vision and what are you building there?
Well, I start with the notes that DressX is the meta closet. It's your wardrobe of digital-only fashion, AR looks, and wearable NFTs, as well as your avatar skins. And this is a go-to destination to start your journey into the digital fashion and to really change your outfit for your digital presence in the metaverse, in social media, in 3D social media, in gaming environments. We can call it different ways, but basically that's your wardrobe for your online presence.
Got it. So what are you seeing right now? Like, who is purchasing digital fashion? Like, what does that consumer look like now? And what do you think like the evolution of that consumer base will look like in the future?
Actually, already millions of people, because we sold already over 1 million items on various platforms, including DressX and other Web2 and Web3 platforms. It's important to mention that as of now, because we really need to acquire this habit of users to have the digital wardrobes, it's important to be present in both Web2 and Web3 environments. So we definitely work a lot with Web3 companies, but DressX as a brand is also present in Roblox, for example, which is like not blockchain powered as of now. But for us, it's really important to face different audiences because answering your question, who is buying digital fashion? In Roblox, it's the generation of 8 to 15 years old, and they're already acting as investors because it's an opportunity to purchase like limited items and etc. Obviously, like DressX NFT marketplace is a very different audience. But what's important for us, because definitely we believe in the adoption of digital fashion, and we definitely believe that here it makes total sense when it's powered by blockchain, when kind of the provenance is there, and when the items can be resold. But in order to acquire the habits of like every person to own their digital wardrobes in terms of the physical wardrobes, we need to face different generations from different environments and kind of create together and educate them. And that's exactly like one of the missions of the company. But in terms of our users, we have quite a range because people who are purchasing DressX at DressX platform are different from those who are purchasing our items on Roblox or any other Web3 or Web2 environment, or let's say Meta, for example, with whom we're partnering to.
Yeah, I love that. It makes a ton of sense. Like, Natalia, I'd love to hear your perspective. Like, what, thinking back to like the beginnings of DressX and to where it is now, like, what were some of the most significant like releases or moments that kind of like helped, move the needle forward or kind of really establish the brand?
That's a good question. And I think the whole start of DressX as a platform was definitely this moment. Because for us from day one, it was always important to have a wearable aspect to digital fashion, even if it existed in some forms of like some beautiful renders and inspirational images or some beautification AR filters. We wanted to really give an opportunity to start wearing digital fashion in different formats. And the first one was dressing up for social media. And then we expanded into the second use case of augmented reality fashion and creating your looks in real time. And for the videos, it's coincided with a time when all the social media were kind of driven by video format, TikTok, Reels, and like video format was just taking over. And of course, expansion into the avatar fashion through Roblox, which is by itself a huge platform, a huge fashion platform, and a big retailer. Of course, the big launch of the Meta Avatar store was also a milestone because first they made a lot of noise introducing the whole concept of the metaverse to their wider audience when renamed the company. And when introduced the Avatar store with 3 brands, Balenciaga, Prada, and Tom Brown, it was a big validation that fashion and digital worlds are coinciding. And DressX was the first ever digital-only brand to be introduced in the platform, and now has the largest number of items in the Avatar store, and this number it's growing. And of course, the launch of our nft.dressx.com platform, where every single item, every single NFT has a wearable utility. And it can be not just a one utility, but multiple, starting from token-gated AR filter, which is available inside DressX app in your Meta Closet, to the skiing in Decentraland, or even the music file like we did with Agoria, access to the events like we did during the Paris Fashion Week last time, and many, many other things. But this wearable aspect and wearable widget, as we call it, definitely is a unique one. So for us, it's, I would say, big milestones. Of course, there were a lot of other partnerships, but that's a brief history.
But it's actually a very cool question. I agree. Like, nobody ever asked, but that's like super cool. Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Of course. That's what we do here at the NFT Now podcast. We ask the new questions. We're constantly pushing it forward. And so, and speaking of that, one of the things that's been really exciting to see, and it's one of the reasons why, we launched Now Runway and why we're really excited about the future of digital fashion, is we're seeing a ton of really big fashion and luxury brands entering the space. Everyone from the LVMHs, the Valentinos, the Gucci's. Why do you think big fashion and luxury brands are so interested in entering the space? And what does that kind of portend for the future of digital fashion?
It's basically facing the new audience. As we told you, for example, when we drop collections on various environments, and there are people and even kids of a younger generation, and they're already discovering brands through the digital goods. And this is super powerful because it's obviously all about how to better tell a story. And fashion, it's all about storytelling. It's about delivering the message. It's about the dream. And in order to nurture this dream and in order to speak about it, you should be present in different kind of environments that are now not only offline. You can not only communicate everything from windows or books or magazines. So because we're spending more time online. And for example, I have 10 years old son. He plays Roblox. He discovers brands in Roblox, and he comes back to me and he tells me about fashion that he discovered. And that's exactly what's happening to more and more kids of his age, but he will grow up. And in 10 years, he will continue and start spending on physical goods. And that's exactly what I think powerful fashion brands are so good at when they start to face different audiences, very early on, even to the consumers that are not ready to invest now, but will be ready in 5 years from now. And they're already dreaming about those brands. That's exactly why fashion brands are mentioned by some musicians, and they want to be mentioned in the tags by rappers, or to be in the pop culture, to be a part of the pop culture. Because if there is no brand, how can you sell the goods? Because there are so many companies working nowadays, but really we pay for the value, and the biggest value is the brand. So that's why we just need to and we speak a lot to different companies. And I think from our conversations 3 years ago when we pitched it as a concept, and we speak now, and it's not a concept, it's already the reality. And they saw the change in this 3 years, and they understand that the shift that is happening now is the shift that happened 20 years ago with e-commerce, when like people started to purchase luxury online. It was Natalie who was one of the first to build Net-a-Porter and say that luxury will be purchased online. So many people did not believe, but they missed out. I mean, people from like brands and the companies, and those who really believe in that and double down, they definitely reap the rewards. And that's exactly what's happening now, but with digital goods. It's an entirely new economy. And definitely like the new generation, even in the fashion houses, you can see like there are so many young people working in Web3 departments. They understand that the shift can be compared, and everyone who is doing all these new things now, even with some mistakes, but they're still doing and learning, they actually will be winners in a couple of years from now.
And actually, I think we should look at the boom of beauty industry and how all the fashion brands expanded and launched their beauty lines at some point, also to address new audiences and also to introduce the brand in the other way to kind of complete the whole image of yourself with a beauty product, and also to tackle the other price category. So if there is a Chanel lipstick that is like $60, it doesn't mean it's not a luxury product. And the same applies to the digital fashion. First of all, we open up, we show our image through digital communication, and we need to curate our outfit, we need to curate our look, and there is a space for the brands to expand their visual language, to expand their brand values. And definitely it can be a kind of new beauty. Digital fashion is definitely a new beauty industry, and we can see the numbers. The beauty industry keeps growing, and definitely it's kind of shows signs of the development for the digital fashion economy as well.
Absolutely. And Daria, I know that you mentioned that you speak to a lot of these big brands that are looking to enter. What is the what sort of advice do you give them? Like, how does one credibly enter the space as a an established luxury or fashion brand really looking to make a good first step forward in this new realm?
Absolutely. So the first advice we always give to people is to start now, because, sometimes they just start the discussion, and that's already a great first step. Absolutely. But then we think that it's really important to try it out, to be present at least in one environment, let it be Web2 or Web3. But it's really important to kind of understand how this brand can be translated into the new reality, because we definitely believe that every fashion house can find their way to be present in the digital space, because obviously like some brands are more innovative and it's a part of their strategy to be kind of in every environment. Some of them will choose and pick just one, but that's exactly, it's important to understand and really to dig into that, because it's always like the platforms, when you work with certain platforms, those who start earlier, they actually understand more insights better at the very beginning. And that's how they can tie the items and the proposal to the customers. Because in the end, it's all about selling the items, okay, not for the physical body, but for the body of the avatar or for like BFP and et cetera, et cetera. So the first and like main advice that we give is to start now, but then it's always important to understand who will be your customer there. But if you don't start, you don't understand, like, will it be the same customer, or will you acquire some new generation that you can then onboard in your physical brand? So that's like all the following questions and kind of big notions to think about, but definitely like not to be afraid and not to think that this all will pass and will continue just like by having physical stores. I think that's the important transition that everyone should do, just because even if you want, even a fashion brand, if they want to create like a huge economy, let's say it wouldn't be at 10% of their revenue, let's say the digital goods, but at least it will be such a powerful marketing tool that will in the end bring them additional 10% of their revenue to the balance sheet.
Yeah, and the truth is that actually, as I say, don't wait for a playbook, just write this playbook. That's the best advice that we can give. And also, of course, it's important to keep the DNA, and especially for the heritage brand, like over 100 years, some of them exist, but also embracing the innovation. that's super important because technology will keep developing, and whatever is not kind of intersecting and collaborating with technology, not implementing the technology, is going to vanish at some point. So embrace the technology.
I like that. Embrace the technology. That's a mantra that we can get behind over here at NFT Now as well. I love that perspective. I'd love to hear maybe some examples too that come to mind. Like, what are some examples of fashion brands who have entered the space and really done it like right, like they nailed it, and why? And if there are any examples that come to mind of like the opposite as well, like any that maybe is a cautionary tale. There's something that could be learned from it.
I think Tommy Hilfiger did a great job, definitely by being present and doing a lot of different activities in various environments, and that's really a good move. There are a few brands that we know that will enter the new domains for them, but we can't talk about that now, but that will be good and something to watch. But let's not go into the future, but focus on who's been there. Gucci, of course, they were doing a great job and doing various collections, and even everything that they did, starting from even Gucci World, and that was kind of the more online commerce, but that's already was so focused on digital and new generation and commercial, and how they took it into the space with NFTs and etc. That was amazing, and they have a dedicated team, right? And the team is amazing. Obviously, Dolce & Gabbana did a great job. They know how to do haute couture, and they did a great kind of haute couture NFT sale, and kudos to everyone who invested and all the partners who put this together, because obviously it was a big push in the industry, and it was an important moment. And I'm sure that Natalia will add some brands.
Yeah, so definitely I would say everyone who already did something and tried, even if it was kind of not so successful, not a 6 million sales, etc. Still, it's great that it started, because that's exactly this invaluable experience and data points that everyone gets in this journey. So yeah, of course, Rebecca Minkoff for sure is super smart, super brave, innovative, and kind of inventive in the space. I have to say that Burberry has always been very on point in terms of technologies. The very first show that they kind of performed on Twitter, when they showed outfits on Twitter even before they appeared on the runway, and it was way before the hype of Twitter, Elon Musk and all the Twitter spaces, whatever. And still, they keep innovating. They were in a blockchain game in Blancas. They were in Minecraft. It's kind of exploring another kind of destinations. Balenciaga also doing moves in this space. To me, kind of the smartest so far has been a Gucci team. Speaking of luxury brands, but even whatever Forever 21 is doing, or Vans is doing, Adidas is doing great. So, of course, kudos to everyone, because each of this project drives adoption, brings new audience, introduces this concept to more people, and everyone finds something relevant for them. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some companies that we haven't mentioned yet from beauty space, IPSA, for example. This is somewhere we also at DressX work with. Dan Diesel did some of the interesting moves in the space too. And there are a few companies that are actually doing very nice kind of stuff. We know there are some companies that are thinking of innovating in the space. And we definitely, with this podcast, want to encourage them also to move into the space faster. And yes, Matt, even the fact that you're covering all this and speaking more about all the things, I think a lot of brands can relate. And definitely from various sides, will encourage everyone to be a part of the space.
Honestly, it maybe look like it's not a lot, but it's so many different ways how to enter the metaverse and the digital fashion space. It can be I don't know, brands like Marine Serre and Zara all in the avatar store in the beta, or it can be super fun like Vans Experience or like Tommy Hilfiger in Roblox, or it can be super luxury NFT like Louis Vuitton, Dolce & Gabbana. It's so many ways how to find your voice as a brand in the world of digital fashion. It's such a fascinating journey. So yeah, it's great. I love this space.
I love it too, and you can feel the energy there, and it's a very exciting and fast moving. Obviously, we all believe in the future of digital ownership, or we wouldn't be on this podcast today, right? But obviously, there's also the challenge of also having to meet the market where it's at, right? And so I'd love to hear like the other side of it too. Like, what have been some of the biggest challenges of like building a company like DressX that is very future focused? Where the skating to where the puck is going in the current climate.
I definitely we need to educate more as an industry and as a company, because obviously like something that is so simple to you or me or Natalia might be not that simple to like a customer who never had a MetaMask or who never like even thought about owning digital goods. So basically like maybe not spending enough time to educate all of our customers. This is something that we should definitely invest more in as a company, as an industry, as all the stakeholders. We definitely are all kind of, we all need to do that. That was the challenge. I think it's still the main challenge. And obviously some like technical complex things that we're still all building all together, especially if we're talking Web3 and blockchain. We all understand that there are some kind of protocols and like things that can be done a little bit better, but that's exactly what we're working on. That's why the conferences like ETHCC are happening, and like better integrations can be done. But yes, I believe this are kind of the biggest challenges so far for the industry, and something that we also see.
Yeah, really, the speed of the development of different tech solutions, but also the possibilities of adoption, and I would say the empathy that developers need to have towards their user. And being more kind of understanding and really treating users with more care, as developers want more adoption. And on the other side, more empathy from users, from customers towards the developers who are creating something completely new, something that has never existed before. And because they're building it for people, I think also kind of this broader user base, potential user base, can be also more kind of understanding and kind of trying new, giving the feedback, because everything that has been built in the feedback loop from the actual person who is using it has more chance to succeed. And that's exactly how we look at every product that we have at DressX, because it's a mobile app, it's an Android app, iOS, it's the NFT interface, it's our like groups in Roblox and integrations in Meta and a lot of other things. And in all of this, we always ask our community, like, how is it for you? What did you enjoy? What you don't understand? Like, okay, let us help you here. Let us dig deeper if you experience any frustration, and let us like handhold you here, and let you like do whatever you want where you already kind of feel like a fish in the water, you know? So I think that's the challenge. It's kind of communication issues.
No, it makes a ton of sense. What do you think are some of like the biggest milestones that we're going to need to reach in order to like really bring in the masses? And like what are some of those things that kind of come to mind as like, this is if we can just get this right, or if this tech gets into the hands of people, it'll open up the floodgates.
It's a very kind of big question to answer, and that's exactly what's kind of we're all tackling on a daily basis. But definitely, like if let's say the kind of we could have like the united standard and the format for all the files and how we use them in various environments, that would help a lot. Though even now we're already progressing fast here, and we at DressX are doing a lot of things kind of to optimize faster the files that we create, and even like this notion of like the wardrobe that you can wear anywhere inside DressX app. It's kind of easy to wear those in the social media, but we still lag the bridges to environments like, let's say, like Roblox, for example, directly to be integrated, because some of those environments are closed environments. But we definitely see the future when the bridges will be open up, so we could kind of locate all these items easily on our phone and go anywhere where we want with the same item. This future is still not possible because, like, when I'm wearing this t-shirt, I can go anywhere, right? I can go to any event. It's not completely the same process with the digital item, but as soon as all the bridges will be built and all the integrations will happen and kind of all the environments will give us the open door, it will be easier for user to understand, yes, I'm investing in this item because I can wear it on a video call, I will wear it in Roblox, I will wear it here, there, and etc. And there won't be like any other steps towards wearing those. It's the same with the physical clothes.
Yeah, so to me, it's interoperability of the 3D assets, something that Daria explained, and also interoperability of the ownership. Because even now, with all these multiple protocols, with all these multiple like avatar systems, etc., there is still a way to go to this interoperability of the ownership as well. And I'm a huge fan of like one-click solutions when everything happens in one click, or with all this like adoption of the NFC chips is like with one tap. So I would say those three things: interoperability of the ownership of the assets and like one-click solutions.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. As we think about like mainstream adoption and all that, like, there was a lot of excitement in recent months around Apple's release of the Vision Pro. And one thing I thought was interesting about that is it was really marketed as an AR headset, much more than like a VR headset, right? And I know that AR is lies at like really the core of DressX's approach as well. So I'm curious, like, what were your thoughts on that release, and also like what you think the like adoption looks like when we think about like augmented reality?
Yes, it definitely like augmented reality. Like this is something that people understand really well now, thanks to Snapchat, for example, and some companies in the space that are already mass. So we all understand filters, the notion of filters, and then like there was the filters go the accessories and the hats and like everything that you can put on your face, right? So it's kind of the continuation of the filter, which definitely was a good promotion, like all this beautification. But then like on top of that, now we have everything that we can wear on our face and then on the body as well. Definitely, like speaking about Apple, it's a company that can promote the technology to the masses. So with the first iPhone, like nobody believes that it will be so widely used, but then look at like the world right now, and like so many people, they're so familiar with like Apple and the touch screen, and there are so many Androids that are built like Apple in the notion of the touch screen, right? So we really are sure that Apple Vision Pro will definitely push the industry forward. Probably not the same year as it launches in the stores, but definitely it's kind of will push this future for all of us, and will bring it like faster thanks to Apple as the company that is like very consumer faced, and will definitely put it everywhere so broader audience will see the device.
Yeah, I believe this embracement of immersive digital communication is something that will happen more and more, and devices like Vision Pro definitely help in that, and being present in that spaces, being more familiar with those definitely will help drive the digital economy. Of course, it will take some time. Imagine it's just the first iPhone was released, right? And look how far we went from the first iPhone to today's version. So the future is bright.
Yeah. What like, let's dig in a little bit to like the idea of the metaverse, right? Like when we talk about the metaverse, like what does that mean to you? And how are you kind of like both like personally and professionally preparing for it?
Yeah, to be honest, we like think already that the metaverse exists even in the social media. Like when we post the pictures of ourselves on Instagram, let's say, and when we're present on social media on a daily basis, kind of pre-metaverse, we're already a digital version of ourselves. When we go to Instagram or any other social media, we post our picture, and it's kind of a little bit different from who we are in the reality. And that's exactly like a part of the metaverse that already touches everyone. And the opportunity that, like, for example, Snapchat or Instagram or TikTok give us, that we can become like celebrities, or like we can create our avatars as Bitmoji or like Meta avatar and dress them and kind of appear there as our digital selves. It's already kind of the precursor of that metaverse that we envision as being like a totally different reality where we can live and exist. Yes, it's still not there, but kind of the first signs of this future world we can already use on a daily basis as stickers, our avatars, because it's still like it's our likeness that is a little bit different, right? So we definitely like think broader about the metaverse, and we understand it won't be built in one day, right? But that's so great about humanity. We sometimes think about something way long term, and we understand it's not here, but let's prepare for this future. Let's build it together. More people build it, so faster this future will come. Yes, we'll speak about quantum computers, but they're not here yet, but we'll understand we need to invest in that. So it's the same with like the metaverse. That's exactly what we need to invest now in order to have it faster.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. Well, look, like obviously there's a lot to be excited about, but like I'm sure you both will have answers for this one. Why don't we start with you, Natalia? Like, what excites you most about like the future of digital fashion?
I think it's the new forms which it may take in terms of creative expression, because definitely in the core of every like fashion brand, the creative director, the creative vision of even more people than just a creative director, and empowering the creative people with new tools will definitely bring some results that are not predictable, that cannot be AI mid-journey generated, and there's just the new tools for creativity, which is amazing. And of course, it's this new digital economy that reveals that is growing, because it has a huge potential. So just like economy has been shifting from kind of real industries into the service industries, into the digital industry, I think the digital economy is something that is going to be very like fascinating and the new, and that excites me a lot.
What excites me is the billion of digital items we will sell as DressX. That excites me most of all.
Contributing to the digital economy.
There it is. Well, as we draw towards a close, like what is coming up next for DressX? Like, what are you excited about? What do you have on the horizon? What should listeners be watching out for? Obviously, any alpha you have to share. We always love the alpha.
My gosh, we have so many things we're developing under NDA. That's unfortunately we can't yet mention, but that's also an incentive for all of the listeners of today's podcast to follow us on social media, because we'll definitely announce it there as soon as we can. But actually building a product, like to continue building all of our projects, which is NFT marketplace and our app, which exists on iOS, Android, because it's all about the project and how simple it is to use and how we can scale it and how we can create a more intellectual solutions and better integrations, bringing more partnerships. That's exactly what kind of is exciting, because that's exactly what we do as the founding team. And it feels great to create it together with all of our partners and with all of our team members.
Yeah, I would say something that we are kind of testing now in the app and will also announce. But if you are constantly following the newest version of the apps, you had a chance to see that, but it's more of a kind of social feature, more kind of opportunities to express yourself and discover digital fashion and get inspired. So I'd say it's a feed that is coming into the DressX app. So check it out. Share your style and yes, so let's be connected there, and just more personalization on that side, because your meta closet, your wardrobe is something very personal, and we are working on adding more to it. Of course, it's simplification of the process of acquiring the NFTs, because it's still a challenge. Back in the days when we were starting DressX, we thought there was no buzzword NFT. So we were, should we put it on blockchain or no? Should we do it on IRC 721? Maybe people will not understand what it is. So still, the world is not there yet. And definitely we are putting a lot of efforts to simplify that part and give an opportunity to wear it immediately.
It is, absolutely. Well, our final segment, the rapid fire section, bullish or bearish. Let's start with the intersection of AI and fashion.
Bullish. Embrace technology.
Yeah, for sure. Agree.
Embrace innovation.
That's something we can get down with. You touched on this, but I'm curious to hear a little bit more too. Like, bullish or bearish on like closed platforms like Roblox and the like becoming more open and interoperable?
Oh, definitely bullish. Yeah.
What do you think it'll take for that?
Couple of years, I think, but with all of our efforts, maybe less time.
I think demand from the users, demand from people who are populating the platforms, really, because yes, they are closed platforms, but they are listening to their people, so their communities. So I think the power is there. So when communities have this voice and ready to express, things happen.
Final bullish or bearish, Louis Vuitton's treasure trunks.
I would say bullish, because everything that drives adoption, it's great. So bullish.
I was at the Louis Vuitton exhibition, and it was like it started with the digital art. So in general, Louis Vuitton is definitely moving interesting in the space. So definitely, yes, bullish as well, just because they are like talking to a new generation. They're not afraid of doing so. Big compliments.
There it is. All right. Natalia, Daria, thank you so much for joining us today on the NFT Now podcast. Super excited to see the continued trajectory of DressX and the digital fashion space at large.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really great conversation. Definitely drop some alpha there if you're a brand that's looking to get into the digital fashion or luxury space in a credible way. And I love their perspective on the metaverse and the future of digital identity. As mentioned, if you want to keep up with everything happening in the digital fashion and luxury space, check out our weekly column, Now Runway, every Friday at nftnow.com/runway. Thank you again, and we will see you next time on the NFT Now podcast.